sure that we're all on the same page, I'm going to ask you to give me some examples of each of those types. Right? So we're talking about decimals, fractions, and percentages. What's an example of something in a decimal form?
0.25.
0.25. Awesome. So what do we know about a decimal? We're writing it with either whole numbers or with that decimal point and some numbers after a whole number. Okay, we're not writing it as in a fraction form with a line, which we're going to get to in a minute. That's our decimal form. What about fraction form? What's an example of a number in fraction form?
7/9.
7/9. Fantastic. And now we're starting to look at things with lines in them. What do we call the two parts? What do we call the top number in a fraction?
Numerator.
Numerator, and the bottom number?
Denominator.
Denominator. Fantastic. So there are two parts there. We can write fractions as well with some whole number parts. What do I mean by that?
Whole number like 1 and 1/4.
Yeah, so you can write 1 1/4. So once again, we've still got numerator and denominator, but we've also got that whole number part at the beginning. What about a percentage? What are some of those percentage type? 20%. Fantastic. Okay. Now I've written that little percentage sign up there. Can anyone tell me where you think this percentage sign, how do people come up with that sign? What do you reckon? Have a look at it. What's in the sign? What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Aaron?
It's kind of like the division symbol.
Yeah, so it's kind of got some division stuff to it as well. Yep, we've got that. Anyone else?
It looks like the fraction.
Yeah, it's like a fraction. And a division is like a fraction with two numbers written where the dots are, isn't it? It's exactly the same, isn't it? And also, those two mean the same thing, don't they? So fraction is a type of division. Absolutely. But to go back to this percentage sign, we've got a line, we've got two numbers that look a bit like zeros. We chuck a 1 in front of that. What have we now got?
Nothing.
Well, we've got a fraction that's out of 100, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is all a percentage is. A percentage is just a fraction out of 100. And so, when we want to convert numbers between decimals and to percentages, or fractions to percentages, we just think about that. We're going to write this as like a fraction out of 100. And then we do the little fancy percentage sign on the side, instead of writing over 100, don't we? But we're going to keep that in our minds. We're converting it to like a fraction out of 100. So when we go through and we do these things, that should help us. Alright. So what do we do? Let's think about our fractions. I want to convert a fraction to a percentage. I want to start with a really easy one. 3 out of 100. Now, remember I said we're thinking about changing to something out of 100? Do I need to change this to something out of 100?
No.
Why not? Because it's already like that. So the really easy ones are fractions that are written over 100 anyway. And so if it's over 100, we just say 3%. Just the same number, percent. Fantastic, easy. But most of them are not going to be like that. So what if we had something that was like 7 over 10? We have a fraction, 7 over 10. Before I take some answers, I want to just say a couple of things. We want to think about converting it to a fraction out of 100. So we've changed fractions. We've made equivalent fractions before. I want to convert this into a fraction out of 100. What do I need to do? What do I need to do to convert a fraction out of 100? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this denominator by 10 to make out of 100. But does that... Well, a better question I should ask. How do I make sure that the fraction stays the same value? What do I do?
Oh, you times both of them the same.
Yes, you do the top by 10 as well. As long as you multiply the top and the bottom by the same number, it is an equivalent fraction, an equal valued fraction. And that's what we want. We don't want to change the value of it, we just want to write it in a different form. Not changing the value, just writing in a different form. So, 10 times 100, 10 times 10 gives me 100. When I do 7 times 10, what do I get?
70.
70. So I can now write that as 70%. Because I've changed it into a fraction over 100, and that makes it really easy to write as a percentage. So, let's do another one. Let's go 3 over 4. I need to change that into what? What am I changing into? Something out of 100. Okay, remember that's what we're doing. That's what we're aiming for. A fraction out of 100. So how do I change a 4 into 100? What am I doing? Yeah.
Times by 25.
Okay, multiply by 25. So, if that's going to work, multiply by 25. And what do I do then?
Multiply by 12.
Do the same to the top. Awesome. What's that?
75 out of 100.
75. So therefore it equals what percentage?
75.
75%. Alright. Those ones are okay because there's a nice easy number that we can multiply the top and the bottom to make it as a fraction out of 100. Sometimes they're not as easy. In my head I'm thinking, right, what can I multiply 8 by to give me something over 100? 8 times 12 is 96. 8 times 13 is 104. Problems. Okay? Now some of you may be able to do this stuff in your head anyway. And that's great. I don't want to stop you doing that. But if there's something that doesn't come easy to you in your head, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a strategy to use when there's not an easy transition, an easy conversion to make. And that is to multiply top and bottom by 100 straight up. Okay, so instead, I'm going to write this as 800 and write that as 100. then I divide top and bottom. Going back to my green pen, I should be. I divide the top and bottom by whatever number was over here. So in this case it's 8. So whatever number was the original denominator, I then divide top and bottom by that. Now what that means is I go over here, automatically I've got 100. Fantastic. Now the top then, we have to do a little bit of division to, and maybe even a little bit of long division to sometimes. So I'm going to say, I'm just going to write here nice in the middle, 8 into 100. Does this look familiar? Long division. How many 8s in 1? Can't do it. How many 8s in 10? 1. How many left over? 2. Put my 2 there. How many 8s in 20? 2. How many left over? 2 times 8 is 16. So there's 4 left over. So I put a little dot here. How many 8s in 40? 5. Put my dot up there. 5. So my answer, 8 into 100 is 12.5. I'll write that up here. And therefore, what percentage is that?
12.5%.
12.5%. Isn't that fantastic? Now, I would love you all to be able to work those long division kind of ones out. If it's just too hard for you, you're saying it's too much, then we use our calculator. Okay? But at that step only. This step, I want you to do these steps without a calculator. It's good for your math skills to be able to do those steps. It's just that step there. If you're struggling with that long division step, and some will be harder, you have something over 11 that you've got to convert, and that's a hard one, to divide 11 into numbers. If it's just too much, use your calculator at that point. Okay? Any questions about converting a fraction into a percentage? Yes? No? Fantastic. All right, decimals, even easier. Decimals, even easier. We just move a decimal point. It's so easy. It's lovely. 0.3 as a fraction, as a decimal. To turn it into a percentage, we multiply by 100%. Think about that. When you multiply any decimal by 100, you move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1, 2, that's where it ends up. If I need to fill in any zeros, I fill in a 0. So what's my new number? I've moved the decimal point, it's no longer in front of the 3, it's moved 2 to the right, it's sitting here after a 0, my new number is 30, so it's 30%. Decimals to percentages is really easy. Move the decimal point 2 places to the right. That's all you need to do. It's a really easy step to do. You might have 1.326 as a decimal. Let's turn that into a percentage. What do? Bailey? Move. How many places? 2. Which direction? Right. 1, 2. This time I don't need to fill in any zeros. That's great. Just put it in there. What's my new number? 132.6%. Fantastic. Nice and easy. Are we good with that?
Yep.
So 2 things. Fractions to percentages. Make it into a fraction over 100, and that's our percentage. Decimals. Move the decimal point 2 places to the right. That's our percentage.